This right here is the newer Teleconverter lens for the DJI Pocket 3, and it's something that was not on my radar, and apparently this is a newer one. I know Ulanzi and I think K&F Concepts had a Teleconverter lens, but I haven't seen the newer lens being covered yet. So let's take a look at this really quick. I'm going to compare this lens to the 2x zoom. That's the lossless quality, and then I'm also going to compare it to the digital zoom. So we'll just have a entire array of how this lens compares to the sharpness to other alternatives. Without further ado, okay, I can't really tell from this. I can't really tell from the little screen what that is looking like in the corners with the vignetting. Let me just take this off really quick. Although I can tell that we're talking a significant crop there. That's pretty cool. I do enjoy that. Now, I am filming in normal mode right now. I'm not using DLOG or HLG. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording and then hit the 2x crop, which should bring us into an 80mm equivalent. All right, now I took a few steps back and we're at an 80mm equivalent. The idea is that I can then use the DJI Pocket or the Extra Muse for some kind of talking head studio camera. The much tighter lens should in theory be more flattering or more close up, more serious if I'm trying to deliver some kind of intense monologue, right? But it is a different look. Now, one of the big strengths with using the dedicated lens is a person can run up DLOG or HLG. So I'm going to go ahead and put the camera into that mode just so we can see what the lens is able to do without having the restriction of being in normal 10-bit mode. Alright, so now we are in DLOG 10-bit, or on the Extra Muse it's called XLOG, I believe. Here we go with the lens. So yeah, here we go. Now there is no lossless crop on DLOG or HLG, so this is where the lens would come in to supplement not having the lossless crop. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and I'll have more time to dig into this once I'm in looking at the big screen, how they crop with the lens and how the artifacting of the lens may look. But I will say, I have not seen any of the zoom lenses look like this. I've not seen any that look like this one, the LS-84. Alright, now I'm just shooting in normal mode once again, just because I'm really not trying to color grade all this footage. And I'm going to show you what the camera looks like when it has the lens attached to it. It does kind of give it a bug eye effect, or like it's in some kind of capsule. Also, I'm cat sitting for a friend, that's why I'm in this cabin, and I'm going to show you some different shots of the cat just so we have some different scenery so we can compare these zoom options. So we've got the kitty cat in the frame. Now I'm going to go ahead and slap on the Teleconverter lens. And as we can see, this is what the camera is looking like. So I'm going to compare this now to the lossless 2x zoom, and then we'll stack those together and see how this newer lens is doing. Alright, so here's the lossless 2x zoom without the lens, and you can see we got the kitty cat. Here we go, I'll throw the lens on. The magnet does stick quite well. I'm not quite worried about it falling off. In fact, the lens, if I try to pull it off of the gimbal, it'll reposition the gimbal. So it's not just held on there by some, hopes and wishes. It does seem to be on there pretty well. And now we're sitting at an 80mm equivalent. So I can still activate an additional digital crop up to 2x again. So this right here would be a 2x lossless equivalent with the 2x Teleconverter lens with an additional 2x crop. But this is also digital crop, so it may not look nearly as well. But we are getting quite the intense shot of the kitty cat here. And then once again, here is just the 2x lens. I'm just looking at this little 2-inch screen here, but it really doesn't look too bad. Oh, Bubbles, you got something to say? And we lost the kitty cat, but there we are, back to the 20mm shot. So let's take this to the big screen now so I can have a closer look at some of the footage. I'll compare some side by side so we can see, and then we'll have a verdict at the end. Is this something that you should have in your toolkit, or is it something to pass on? So looking through the footage, there are a few things that I'd like to point out. I did notice some slight artifacting, and that might be light leakage on this left side of the frame here. This is tough because with the magnets attaching to the front of the camera, if there's some deviation with the positioning, it can open up what I would assume to be opportunities for light leakage. So this could be user error, but I also can't say for sure. That is just one of those things, and we're not attaching a lens to a mirrorless body. We're attaching a lens with magnets, so that is something to be, aware of. It is noticeable slightly. There is also a lens flare artifact right here, although it's not too ugly, but it is there. The rest of the frame looks great. The sharpness to the corners, I don't see any vignetting. Like, it truly is impressive. I do want to say, I'm not sure if it's truly a 2x teleconverter lens, like 2x. This is the 2x lossless crop, and here's the 2x lens. So one of them is obviously not 2x, and it probably is the lens. It does have a different look. We can tell a little bit that there is a different look to it. We do have a little bit of purple shining in on the edge of the windowsill that is not present on the 2x lossless zoom. So there is a very slight amount down here, and I don't notice it on the other gaps in the windowsill. Maybe a little up here too. Otherwise, it's really solid. There is a slightly different look between these two frames because I know that 2x lossless zoom does some magic with the sharpness, so that's probably going to be the explanation to the difference in sharpness, because I do have the sharpness turned down too within the camera. So this shot might look a little over sharp, but it doesn't scare me. I do really appreciate the lens being able to have a tighter frame when using the DLOG or XLOG or HLG profiles. Here's the wide shot, and then boom, we throw the lens on, and now we're getting a tighter shot. Like, this looks pretty dang good, and yeah, it's pretty sweet. If we're shooting in normal 10-bit, we can double stack with the lossless and the zoom lens, and I believe that's what's going on here. Yeah, so different looks, for sure. I do really enjoy the versatility though with color grading. So the lens with the X-Log, because I'm using the extra muse here, it's pretty dang good. I really do appreciate that. And it is certainly a different look that, it's quite unique, because when we get that crop, it doesn't look like it was shot on the Pocket 3. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, oh, it makes it look like it's a more expensive camera, having the tighter lens with the full detail being preserved. We're not doing any lossless zoom magic that's going on here. Finally, I do want to say, try at all costs to avoid the digital zoom with the camera, because the quality just tanks. I did do that for fun here. I did a little test. The lighting isn't the best, but let's see right here. Yeah, we zoom in again, and yeah, I would just avoid that. But aside from that, here's another test. Not the best lighting. I mean, it can function, but I would avoid it at all costs. Alright, so this lens is shockingly decent. I will tell you what, comparing some of the results that I saw from the Ulanzi lens and some of the K&F concept lenses, specifically their teleconverter lens, and it might just be Ulanzi that had, shoot, it's no longer available. You can't even buy it if you try to look. This lens is truly something that I would absolutely use in the future. I bought this on Amazon, right? If it doesn't work, I'll send it back. But no, this is actually something that not only did I, buy with my own money, it wasn't sent to me. This is actually something that I'm going to use because I really do enjoy this tight shot. And if I can test this in more applications in the future, I will definitely drop it in the comments if there's something specific that you would like to see.